Welcome, listeners, to part 2 of episode 12, the Q&A episode. I'm not going to do much of an intro here because there's not much to say. It's the same thing. It's just the second half of the video that you missed. If you are watching this episode because your question was not answered, get excited. I'm sure we did. This second half is probably going to be super fun to watch if your question was asked. But if you enjoyed the episode, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. But let's jump right into it. Here you go for the part 2 of the Q&A episode.
We talk about, the proportion of performance, which is mental.
Mm-hmm.
You and I would say that you could have the skills, to the ends of the earth, but if mentally you're not there, you're not going to make it happen. And probably the vast majority of what goes into winning is mental, and you just got to back that up with the skills. So, should a team like the Leafs, or any team for that matter, they be sort of backing out and retooling their mental side and believing that they are in fact winners and deserve to be winners, instead of, pooping the bed, as they say, or mailing it in the playoffs. They do great all season. We know that they're capable. But there's some sort of mental block that's going on. So should they be putting more into mental coaching, or team camaraderie, or just gelling as a team?
It's definitely a conversation to be had, and you obviously see that this past season, like, they got rid of Babcock, which is insane, right? Or maybe it was 2 seasons ago. I'm not keeping track. But that's a very big deal, because he was that start of, we got him, we got Tavares, and then we see all these guys like Matthews and Marner really rise up as really good players in the league. And then next thing you know, we're probably like second or third contenders to win the cup. That's what it started all. And Mike Babcock is known as one of the best coaches in the league.
Yeah, for sure. And couldn't make it work.
So getting rid of him was obviously a statement to the fans and a statement for themselves, knowing that, we're realizing we need to make a change. We're realizing that something isn't working, and we need to, reorganize, rethink, because they just thought that, we'll roll with this, everything will work out. But it's much more than that, because like you said, I don't really think it matters if they have, all-star goalie, all-star defense, forwards, all those guys. They go up against the Bruins and they're scared to play them, or are too soft to check them into the boards, and the Bruins just go and,
roll over
them.
Well, listen, I think they got to put time into the locker room. I think if there's any one sport where the locker room and the vibe in the locker room is probably the most important, I would argue, and I think you probably agree, that I think hockey is probably that one bad prima donna in the group can destroy a team.
Yeah.
Let me keep moving here. And I think we should probably fly through a couple of these. So Adam Armstrong asks a great question. Something after all these years, we all screw up. We went for a great run tonight, probably didn't eat that great, and we struggled a little bit on the sprints. But Adam Armstrong asks, what do you eat before you play sports?
Great question. And I'm not going to lie, because you're the person that's seen me go through some really bad times of not handling my nutrition good enough. So I'm definitely going to have to be honest, or else I'm going to be exposed a little here.
I'll go easy on you.
I've definitely had to learn this for years now. I've had some really bad times. I can even remember, like, in a semifinals of a big tournament in squash, and getting up to the match, I realized I'd eaten, like, I ate lunch, but it was like 5 hours ago, and I had nothing else. The lunch was like just a sandwich and salad or something, right? It wasn't the ideal lunch before a match, first of all, but you can't go those 5 hours without having something. And I'm going through the match. It's going great. I'm feeling good. Next thing you know, I'm up 2-1, and oh my God, the cramps and the energy and the stomach killing me just goes insane. And I never felt more disappointed in myself, because, like, everyone tells me over and over and over again. It's like, oh, like, did you eat this? Did you eat that? And I didn't listen, and it obviously screwed me over.
So
So
what do you eat? Game day, what do you eat? What
game
what
day,
what would a smart, prepared thinker eat that day of?
so I think definitely for me, I'd go with like I'm a big, for breakfast, like yogurt guy, yogurt granola. Maybe obviously the best would be like if I had something like a smoothie and then some eggs, right? Like that's obviously the best. I think guaranteed if I had the best meal possible, it would be a bowl of pasta for the lunch, 100%, no questions asked. Um, and then that's honestly that's the biggest start. If you have that, then you're honestly good. Other than you have to have a couple of those snacks, but just after that, like even if you're not hungry, if you're not feeling it, you have to, or else your energy, like you have to keep your energy up. Those foods that are going to keep your energy up for sure.
Right.
And then afterwards, uh, I know he didn't ask this afterwards, but afterwards is probably best for protein, whatever you
Right.
can find. And yeah, that's the smart thinker for me, is definitely that. But I can't lie, I haven't been the best over the years at accomplishing that.
So how did that broccoli and cheese soup and tuna sandwich before I run today go down? An hour and a half before we ran.
Once again, I told you I'm not very good at it yet.
Okay. Well, at least you know what to do. I'm sure one day it'll click.
One day.
No judgment, of course. Sam Cornette, your recent guest, a incredible athlete, incredible ambassador for squash and women in sports. What would make you want to go pro, or do you already want to? Kind of answer this a little bit earlier, but kind of a fringe question. What's your answer to that?
Yeah, definitely. The do you even want to part is kind of has already been answered. Is I've never seen myself going pro in sport squash for sure, but what would make me want to, there are a couple factors for sure. Is what would make me want to would be, I hate to say, a little bit of the money side would be definitely a fact for me. We all know that in squash, money is definitely not.
You have to be in the top 0.01%
Mhm.
to be even making a living, let alone a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. And that would be something for me. But at the same time, to more talk about what it would have to be for me to relate to the sport, is I would have to be in love with the sport. I would have to, be motivated to train every day and obviously make some big sacrifices in my early, like in my childhood, definitely for sure. Because if you want to be the best for sure in squash, it's a competitive sport and it's hard. So you have to be out there training and playing and deciding to go play a match or work out rather than hang out with some friends or go to a party, or maybe even sometimes work on a project, right? Like that's that type of love and just motivation you have to have for the sport.
And yet you'd probably already decided that you will go pro on the double circuit.
Yes.
Because it's a little bit easier, kind of pick up the rack and go play, and
Totally.
you can go to New York City for a weekend and play a tournament and come home with a few bucks in your pocket.
And we all know, I'm sure we've talked about a lot on the show, that squash is incredible for travel. That's definitely not a question.
Sure.
For making me want to go pro, that's a guarantee, is I'll get to go to some pretty sick places. So I don't want to go pro, but if I had to, it would probably be that. If I would, it would have to be that love of the sport and maybe a little bit of the money.
A little bit of the dough. I'm going to keep moving on. Thank you, Sam, for that question. Max, how do you say Max's last name? M-A-Z-O. Is that Max Mazzo?
I think
Mazzo.
So. Mazzo.
You know what?
I'm sorry.
Great sports handle, by the way. I think he should be like a UFC fighter. Do you think he'd be intimidated by a Max Mazzo? Preseason starting. What's your prediction in the NBA?
Good question. I think my prediction, my big prediction, is that it's going to be a really good season. That's all I can really say. Is unfortunately, we have some players injured or players not coming back, like Klay Thompson, who obviously is out for another season. But we had some pretty big trades over the offseason, and we had some, and coming into preseason, some very big players coming back from injuries and starting to play. So it gets me really excited to see some of these guys back, like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, John Wall's back after like 2 seasons out. He's on a new team now with James Harden. I don't think he'll be with James Harden for very long. But it brings back a lot of good seasons and moments from some of these players that I'm excited to see and watch over this season. So I definitely think it's going to be a great season.
It's not a runaway, let's put it that way. So I think
Mhm.
anytime it's going to be deep and there's a bunch of contenders, the more exciting it's going to be.
Totally.
I got a question from, I got a West Coast from Vancouver Island. I got a West Coast question. How do you keep motivated to stay involved when it's so easy to just sort of bail out and go video game? That is actually from Grandma Sasha K out in on Vancouver Island.
Yeah, I knew she would have had to ask a question in this. She must be one of my number one supporters, hands down. I can guarantee that.
For sure.
It's a good question because, once again, another one I've been asked multiple times, and I think for me is what keeps me motivated is because I've finally found the one thing that I've always had a passion for, but now I can actually get it across. Like I can get it out there. I can have a platform for it, right? I've always wanted to speak my opinions about sports, and for all my life, I always did with friends and family. Definitely, probably every day there was something to talk about. But now I've finally figured out how to get that out there and actually show my opinion, which I find awesome and really exciting. And that's just what motivates me. Don't get me wrong. I obviously still do like to play video games. That's not a question. But the motivation to do this as well is because I honestly just love to do it. So I go out there, and it's not something that I'm forcing myself to do.
Right.
It feels
It's
natural.
not a chore. Well, and you owe it to the fans, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you made a commitment, you owe it to the fans.
Yes.
You got to keep them all happy. Lauren Hewitt has our final question. It is in multiple parts, I think.
Sorry, final questions. She put
Final
a few questions.
It's multiple part. Oh, these are all different. Okay. A few questions to ask. Okay. Do you plan to incorporate sports into your future career? Kind of answered, but do you want to give a quick rapid fire answer on that?
Yeah, I think I definitely sports in a whole for sure. I think doubles, squash, 100%. I'll definitely tour a little, try and win some tournaments, try and make some money. That would be great. Yeah, I think that's really it. Otherwise, it would probably just be definitely a hobby.
I guess it qualifies that even sports broadcast is
yeah, definitely
sports in your career.
That will definitely be involved.
What is your dream for the podcast?
My dream is that it turns into a job. It actually turns into a way that I can, make money, and, I'll go and learn some stuff to obviously improve it. I've got lots of improvement to do, which I love, as I can always grow this show as much as I can. But the dream is that I can turn it into something that I actually do as a job, which would make it that extra bit better. And yeah, you just turn into something I love.
Well, you're certainly, the Simply Sports is certainly a good item on your resume. So if anyone out there in the influential sports world is watching, he wants a job. What's the hardest challenge you've had to overcome with sports and the podcast?
That's a good question. Is that probably the biggest? Is that for the podcast first, is the biggest one is figuring out how to grow it publicly. I know how to grow it, by getting certain equipment and the quality and but I needed to figure out ways to get it out to certain demographics, to certain people that will watch it and grow my show, right? If I really want to get it out there, I need to be good at social media. I need to go out to certain guests, and Carolyn Cameron, that's a great example. I needed to go out to people like that have sort of a platform and try and get them to promote it, and that'll grow my show as much as I can. Of course, I can't hope that I'll get lucky one day and have a sick guest reach out to me, or hope that somehow it comes up on one of their Instagrams or YouTubes and then they watch it and then they post about it. That would obviously be amazing, but it's not realistic. So you got to get over that hump of social media and really getting it out there for me.
So Josh, I think we'll end it on that. Great questions from Lauren. I'm totally loving the involvement of your viewers to sort of throw in some really good questions, get a little bit of insight into what's going on in that brain of yours. So why don't we expand on that and say that if people have actual show ideas for actual shows, guests, if someone's friends with some huge sports person or musician or whatever, and it's something that you think might be interesting, then throw something in the comments or reach out to Josh directly. But no, it was a great show. So I'm going to leave it to you to close it out.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, Josh. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. That was really great. But yeah, so we're gonna end it here. Once again, guys, all I can say is I was let's get that logo up. Come on.
There it is.
Promotion. Simply Sports. Yeah, all I can say is thank you so much. My dad obviously talked about it already, but getting you guys showing me in a way that you're wanting to get involved, and I put it out there to give you guys the opportunity to get involved, and you definitely took advantage of it. So I'm super happy that this all worked out. But anyway, that's going to end it for us for this episode. It was really fun. We obviously changed it up here with the Zoom call, which I'm sure it worked out. So I might use it in the future again if we want to do a little quick episode here and there. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in today's episode, guys. I'd like to thank my sponsor. He's right here. He did it with us, IPS Insurance. Without them, none of this would be possible. And thanks so much for you guys for supporting the show in any way that you can. This will be posted on YouTube, but like I say always, if you can't watch it on YouTube, it will be on Spotify at Simply Sports, but I can always suggest YouTube's a little better for this visual aspect. See me and my dad, talk to each other. It gets a little more entertaining. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I'm going to be signing off. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Bye.